What's up, Campus Live fans? It's Lane here in the Campus Live studios today to bring you another edition of the Guns
Blazin!
podcast, episode number 26. As always, I'm one of your hosts here today, and alongside me for today's episode is Mr. Jordan Godfrey. Jordan, we're back here for another week. How are you doing on this beautiful Thursday here in Lubbock?
Doing well, feeling good. Feels like it's about time for another episode of the Guns Blazin podcast. We got some FIFA going on. Going to talk about NBA. It's a good day, man.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a pretty wild week for sports. Obviously, last night you saw the United States huge win down to 10 men with the remaining 36 minutes left in that game. We'll discuss all of that here later, as well as some Texas Tech football questions as they head closer and closer to fall camp. And also, it's been a crazy NBA free agency. There's been trades, signings. This might be one of the craziest off seasons we've ever seen. And so we're going to get into all that later. But first, we just want to thank every single one of y'all for tuning in every single week. And we ask that you make sure to like, share, or subscribe to wherever you're seeing our content, either at Campus Live TTU or the Guns Blazin podcast. And as well as thanking all of our sponsors for the Guns Blazin podcast. First with Roofmaster of Lubbock. Fans, with all of the rain and storms we've been getting here in the city of Lubbock over the past month or so, make sure to check out Roofmasters of Lubbock if you have any type of roof damages. And of course, we also want to thank our sponsors with JSI Industries and the Exceptional Community Hospital here in Lubbock. Jordan, it's July now. We are about 1 month away from fall camp. Big 12 Media Days start next week. I'm actually going to be there, get some content. Should see, all the coaches there, some players there. It's kind of like the unofficial kickoff to, football season. Obviously still a few weeks away from fall camp. But as we head into kind of this fall camp discussion, we're kind of going to ask a little bit of maybe some questions we have about this team, maybe, statistical wise or just, personnel wise as we head into this season. And really the first question I wanted to get into here today is, as we now know Brendan Sorsby's no longer with the team, it's going to be Will Hammond this year. Might be Kirk Francis maybe for the first game or two. Hopefully Will Hammond is back and with his rehab for those first 2 weeks. But as we head into the season, what is more likely, Texas Tech to win a playoff game or for them to go undefeated and repeat as Big 12 champions?
I think it's more likely that we repeat as Big 12 champions than winning a playoff game. We're already kind of fighting from behind after losing Sorsby, and I doubt that the committee will give us any shot unless we're just playing the most dominant football in the league. It's not even about the Big 12 anymore because the committee is very particular about the points that they choose to enforce, and I just don't see us getting the benefit of any of those doubts, especially because of how Texas Tech has been spoken about in the media just in general. I don't necessarily think we're on the good side. But I do still see us as being one of the most talented and successful teams in the Big 12. So I would go ahead and put my money on that. No pun intended, Brendan. Yeah, no bad.
And hey, speaking of the quarterback position, and these are kind of more, that was kind of more, like a serious season thing as we, before we head into that. But statistically wise, do you think that we will see Will Hammond throw for over 3,500 yards this year, or have two running backs with over 1,000 yards rushing once again, just like last year?
Help me out. Do you happen to know how much Baron Morton threw for last year to try and gauge it? Because I don't know I'm trying to think of what 3,500 looks like just from watching as a fan over the course of a season.
I can pull it up real quick. Let's see.
Because from my understanding, I don't think Barron threw for 35.
He threw only for 27.80.
Then the answer is no. I think we have to. Yeah. Sorry, no to the 3,500 yard passing campaign. Yes to two running backs that go over 1,000 yards a piece, right? That was
Mhm.
yeah, definitely. Because
Yeah.
even with yeah, because I don't see, like, I see Will Hammond having success in finding his rhythm with the offense, but I still think the committee running
Mhm.
back room that we might be boiling, like we might be bringing together, I think that's a bigger threat.
Yeah, especially with Quentin Joyner coming back into that room. He was supposed to be the starting running back last season.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he tears his ACL and very early in fall camp, and we saw the emergence of Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams, two guys who we didn't really expect to be, huge contributors, especially Cam Dickey. And man, they were probably the two best running backs besides L.J. Martin in the Big 12 last year. Both of them accounted for over 1,200 yards all purpose, so that's rushing and catching. And you add Quentin Joyner back into the mix. I mean, I think you could have three guys, not over 1,000 yards, but I think you could have three guys over 700. I mean, all purpose.
Who's starting in your offense?
So I think that based off of what, is kind of out there and what, we saw in the spring, I would imagine that Cam Dickey's kind of like the 1A in the room. Jacoby's going to be, they even said it during spring, kind of like a Malachi Tony role.
Oh yeah.
I think he's going to kind of be like a scat back where, he's catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. You can move him into the slot, but also he's a very dynamic runner. If they need that, that sprint speed in the backfield, because he's a very fast running back.
They're probably gonna have him returning kicks as well, huh?
And that's very possible as well. He was a great returner last year. We saw him return a kickoff return for a touchdown last year, and then Quentin Joyner. I mean, this is a guy who didn't play last year, but his freshman year at USC was averaging over 6 yards per carry in the Big Ten. That's
insane.
That's pretty crazy. And to add him to maybe already was the best running back tandem in the Big 12, now you have a three-headed monster. So I think this running back room combined with maybe the best offensive line or one of the best offensive lines in the whole entire country, I think our rushing attack could be maybe the best in the country, Jordan.
What if we swap to a wing T? Like we do a slot double
Yeah.
T kind of vibe for that, because we got three running backs, and I'm not saying I have zero faith in Will Hammond, but I'm saying like we might as well just play into the running backs now that we've been gutted, because that hurt. It hurt to see him go.
And I think Will is going to be a very good quarterback for us too. I think he's a young guy. I think there will be growing pains throughout the season, but if he stays healthy, he's so athletic where he's dynamic, with his legs as well as his arm. He has a very good arm too. You just saw, when he did play last year, the inconsistencies, sometimes he'd get really inaccurate and stuff. If he can hone that down, when he was on the field last year, the offense moved better when he was on the field. We discussed that last year too, Jordan.
Yeah, I remember there was, all jokes aside, Will Hammond is a formidable backup, all right?
Yeah.
And I would argue that he's starting for a lot of these Big 12 teams that we're going to be playing. He also has good film out there as well for Texas Tech, getting touchdowns, converting on drives, moving the offense, like you said. So, I'm joking, but I do believe that Will Hammond is capable of leading us to a successful season. It's just a matter of chemistry and how much we can put the noise behind us in terms of, like, we knew what this team was supposed to look like. Now let's go ahead and just shift it to this is Will Hammond's team. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. It'll definitely test the like how easily we can move forward, which will come in handy if we ever get into games where like we need to overcome adversity. That mental aspect of it plays a big part in it. So yeah, man, getting him out there and being in a starting role to where we're putting more on his shoulders, I'm excited to see like where he takes it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up chemistry because obviously he is returning from his torn ACL injury. He did not participate at all in the spring. Obviously, spring practice, you can take it however you want to take it, but I think, and you hear Coach McGuire, he talked about it a lot. It's a great opportunity for guys to kind of get their, especially for new guys like our transfers and freshmen that were early enrollees, kind of get their feet wet and learning the college system of, how they practice, what the physicality is going to require. And not that Will hasn't obviously been in that. He's played in those games and stuff, but I know he has been throwing to his receivers during the summer and as well, but, not having true practice reps with, some of those new guys like Kenny Johnson or Malcolm Simmons, Dante Lee, some of those guys. So I think, like we said, there could be some growing pains, but hopefully he's back, by fall camp, for that first practice, and they can, get rid of those kinks in the offense before the first game.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Will Hammond was pretty heavily recruited, right? Like, wasn't he like
was
a
a four-star?
Four-star, yeah. So a lot of people forget that. I really think that he is where he needs to be. Go ahead and let the guy heal completely, and then throw him out there. Give him a nice, even slate, nice clean slate to work off of, and see what he does with it. Because the same opportunity we gave Barrett Morton, his time waiting behind and waiting for his turn to finally just spearhead one of the greatest seasons that Texas Tech has had. We can give that same one to Hammond and see what he does with an arguably better roster.
Yeah.
So,
and it should be a great season. I think this offense is going to be very, very talented, and they just have so many weapons that they built through the portal and returned a lot on the offensive line, obviously. But talking about the schedule, which game do you think will define this Big 12 schedule? I have 4 games here. We have Houston, Arizona State, Colorado, and Oklahoma State. Houston, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, they had the 7th best transfer portal class in the whole entire country. In the transfer portal this year, they returned Connor Wegman, their quarterback from last year. Willie Fritz, he's a great coach, and they had a great season for Houston last year. Then we move on to Arizona State, obviously. They were our lone loss in the Big 12 last year. They did lose Sam Levitt, Raleek Brown, Jordan Tyson. Lost a lot of pieces. But Kenny Dillingham is a great coach. They're always going to have a good team put together. Cutter Boley comes in from Kentucky. They should still have a decent team. Oklahoma State, though, I think is interesting because it's on the road. Oklahoma State brings in basically that whole entire North Texas offense last year that was so good, and Eric Morris, former Red Raider, now their head coach at Oklahoma State. Drew Mestamaker was the quarterback last year. Caleb Hawkins, the running back. 2 of the best players in the country last year. Obviously, it's their first season there in Stillwater, but that's a very tough place to play, and it's late in the season. I want to say that game's in November. I think, in my opinion, that game, if you go on the road and you defeat, which I think is going to be a pretty good team in Oklahoma State, even in Eric Morris's first season, I think that is going to be the biggest test on Texas Tech's regular season schedule this year, Jordan.
Man, it's hard to say Oklahoma State is the biggest threat, knowing like the team that they had out there last season. It was so bad, right? Yeah. But no, with everything that you're mentioning, it does make Oklahoma State, a legitimate threat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Houston is the first game out of all of those.
It is. It's the third game, and it's the Friday night game here in Lubbock. That week 3.
Yeah, I think that one's gonna be. I think that one's gonna be the biggest one because everybody here, I could definitely attest to the vibes in Lubbock. Everybody just wants to see what we look like against a formidable opponent.
Right.
With everything happening behind the scenes that happened, we want to see what we look like and what we're going to be moving forward with. Now, obviously, it's all about how you finish. It's not about how you start. But I know how things work here, especially with the politics of football. Like, we want to see what we look like. So whether it be an imperfect first look or the best one ever, we want to have some type of clarity after all of these headlines that have been going on. So I think that's the most impactful one.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because that is, I would say it's Houston is going to be the team that finishes, I would say, with the best record probably on our schedule. I would agree with you on that. I think it's going to be a huge game, and it's a primetime Friday night game here in Lubbock. So
a lot of controversy as well to get that game scheduled on a Friday night in Texas.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And Sorsby was supposed to be back for that game too, so maybe there's a
little a big what could have been floating around.
Yeah, but that'll kind of wrap up, our Texas Tech fall camp discussion. Obviously, we just briefly discussed that, as we get closer and closer to fall camp. We'll have a lot more discussions as we get closer to the season. Obviously, football season is the prime time for covering Texas Tech sports, and it should be once again a great season here in the 806 for Joey McGuire and Texas Tech. But next, we're going to move on to the World Cup. It was a crazy night last night. The United States, they beat Bosnia 2-0, despite going down to 10 men for the remaining 36 minutes of that game, because Flo Balogun, he got the red card. Very controversial. We'll discuss that later. But Malik Tillman, man, that free kick he hit to put us up 2-0, I would argue is in the top 3 best U.S. goals, maybe even number 1 in the history of the United States men's national team, because of what was at stake. So much pressure on that free kick, and he just drilled it, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a very great pleasure to watch the success of our, I'm saying football team now. Like that's how much the World Cup has gotten me into this. Like seeing the Mexican national team as well as all of the African teams representing, and seeing like the passion that the fans have while they're watching the games, and being able to feel that way about the U.S. when they're winning their games and performing, just very, very great. Honestly, they're playing great ball, and yes, that goal definitely goes down in history because I hate to say it, but like were there a lot up there to choose from already? Because in my opinion, this is already like the best team that the U.S. has put out there, especially in my lifetime. So yeah, all of this is very impactful for me, and I've enjoyed every single step of the way.
Yeah, this World Cup has been, and in our lifetimes, since it's here, I'm probably going to be a little biased, but I think this could go down as maybe one of the best World Cups in the history of the sport.
I agree.
And the fact that the 3 host nations are all in the round of 16 too. Mm-hmm. And obviously our country with the United States, the success they've had, to this point has been their most successful World Cup as far as history goes. Obviously in 2002 they did make the quarterfinals, so we'll see if they can match that. But winning almost all 3 group stage games, you win your first knockout stage game 2-0. Man, I think this team, if we can get past Belgium on Monday night with no Balogun, man, I think this tournament could open wide open for you, because I think the best team is France. I think they would be the toughest matchup. I think everyone else, though, in this tournament, I'm not going to say France is unbeatable, but I think everyone else on a good day with the way that this team is playing, I think they are beatable, Jordan.
That's a fair assessment, but it's also fair to say that France looks like the most unbeatable team because every time I see them, they look like they're clearly more fast and athletic. It seems like every single person on that team is capable of scoring a goal. And when I was watching their highlights, every one of them attempted one, and it was like this close. Mbappe is definitely in conversation for the greatest of all time at this point. Like just how his World Cup status is already. Like, isn't he already tied with Messi, or like one goal away from tying Messi?
Close,
yeah, he's younger than us. So yeah, he's got a lot more in the tank. But the fact that we're talking about Mbappe and France with this tone right now, this is, I would dare say that this is their World Cup to lose because of how dominant they've been all the way up to this point. Like everybody has them as their favorites for good reason. And yeah, man, I don't like how they're on our side. Are we on the same side of the bracket? Because if we make it through, I definitely see us facing them. Like we have to go through France in order to make the final. Other than that, man, it's been a very, very entertaining World Cup.
Yeah, France having Mbappe, Michael Olise, and Dembele all in a starting attack. I mean, that could be 3 top 5 players in the world right now if you really wanted to argue. Their attack is insane. They obviously, in their defense, they have Upampacino or whatever, however you pronounce it. Obviously, they have William Saliba as well too. Saliba, one of the best defenders in the world too. They're just tremendous, and I agree. I think if the United States were really to make history and go all the way to the semifinals, man, I think we'd have a tough matchup versus France, but obviously we got to get there first.
Yeah.
But Some other big results, though, before we talk more about the U.S. team later, Brazil, they beat Japan on basically a last-second goal. We saw Paraguay, they stunned Germany in penalties. According to FIFA rankings, it was the fourth biggest upset in the history of the knockout stage round. Morocco, they defeat the Netherlands. That was a really physical game, really interesting to watch. The Netherlands they just kind of parked the bus. They were winning penalties, and then they end up losing.
Yeah.
What was kind of some of your thoughts on that game, Jordan?
Well, both on the two games that went to the penalties, I will say that those were the most entertaining goes at penalties to end games that I've seen, especially the oh my goodness.
That Paraguay one?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I couldn't remember who they played, but there was like multiple missed penalties towards the end to where they had to go to like sudden death.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before. So I was literally on the edge of my seat watching these and seeing these professionals miss the goal entirely, or the shot would get saved, and it's just seeing the emotion on the fans' faces after each kick. It was crazy, dude. And I did not expect Netherlands to lose either.
Yeah.
But like I said, these African teams are stepping up, and they're clutching up in the moments that are calling for it.
Yeah. And also, obviously, like we just talked about, we saw France. They handled Sweden pretty easily. They win 3-0. That's really been the only like blowout so far of the knockout stage. Obviously, we saw Mexico defeating Ecuador. That was a great atmosphere. You saw, I mean, that stadium was just rocking.
Whole block,
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
city was turned up,
Yeah.
dude. Look, a Christmas tree.
It was crazy. And then obviously yesterday we saw one of the games of the tournament as well. England coming back versus the Congo in the final 15 minutes of that game. Harry Kane scores 2 goals and avoids what would have been truly one of the biggest upsets ever if the Congo were to pull that off against England. Canada, obviously, like I said earlier, they beat South Africa 1-0 on a very late goal in that game as well. And then we saw Erling Haaland clutch up for Norway versus the Ivory Coast. It's been, and obviously we got some games going on right now. Spain was up 1-0 versus Austria. 2 more games later on today, and then the rest of the knockout stage the rest of this weekend. But, man, it's just been a phenomenal World Cup, Jordan. And out of those games the other games, I guess, that I just talked about, what was kind of maybe your biggest surprise, or what were you most impressed with?
The biggest surprise was England completing the comeback. Ooh, you know what? I don't want to speak too fast, because Belgium's comeback against Senegal was pretty insane as well. And the fact that when Belgium started their comeback, it was already like 80 minutes, maybe 75 on the clock. And there was like a controversial late sub out of De Bruyne, where it was like, okay, are they still trying to win? Like, what's going on? They took out their best guy and the captain. Well, after they took him out, they scored 2 goals within like 4 minutes of each other, now to tie game. And then there was a controversial penalty that was called in the box after a review that led to Belgium's penalty kick to get them over. But the emotions, like the stakes of that game, and it's one of the games that I watched from front to back. Like I didn't catch up on the highlights or anything. I was invested the whole time. So to see how all of these events unfolded, that was drama all the way to the top. But I will still give a shout out to Harry Kane for putting the country of England on his back.
Literally.
And just crazy strike at the end of the game. That was an unsavable kick. You know what I mean? Like there's no way you get a hand on that. And even if you do, he puts so much steam on it. Like I've seen that kick from so many different angles, and it just looks like a bullet just right there to the back of the net. So that was insane to see as well. So kudos to England. And yeah, man, kudos to Belgium as well. Those are some good games.
Yeah, and I got to shout out to Congo too. And Bassi, their goalkeeper, had maybe the game of his life. And
for sure.
To have them in the lead until basically the last 15 minutes of that game. And the Congo, that's just a great story. And I hope that they can build off of that story that they had this year. Obviously, you know, they're a country that hasn't had really any history in their sport. So hopefully, you know, that can kind of turn a country's youth team around where it just has so much more buy-in and investment. And I thought that was really cool to see them compete versus one of the world powers of England. But man, as we kind of advance on back to the United States, we're going to hit on our injury report segment real quick. Fans, it's time for this week's injury report presented by the Exceptional Community Hospital. And before we hop into the injury report, we just want to take a moment to recognize the Exceptional Community Hospital as a proud sponsor of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And be sure to visit their 24/7 state-of-the-art hospital and ER located at 6401 Spur 327 in Lubbock. They accept all insurances and have short ER wait times. And once again, the Exceptional Community Hospital is proud to support this week's injury report on the Guns Blazin podcast. I'm not even going to talk about an injury. It's going to be about the Balogun red card because that was honestly one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a soccer match. I mean, I've been watching soccer my whole entire life. To know what's at stake, too, the fact that it would make him suspended for the next game. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't intentional. He was off balance and was trying to find his footing and accidentally steps on his ankle. Obviously, if you go look at it in slow motion, which in the VAR guidelines, you're not supposed to be able to judge based off of slow motion to give someone a red card. And originally, they didn't even give him a yellow card in the first place. It was a straight red.
Yeah, I didn't know that part.
And the fact that you saw after that review just a straight red, not even like, hey, yellow card, obviously it was on accident. A straight red that now suspends him versus Belgium in what could be one of the biggest games in the United States, the national team's history. And he's been our leading goal scorer this whole tournament, maybe our best player this whole tournament. He's been immense for this team. And the fact that he got suspended on a BS red card like that is just, it really infuriates me. So I don't know.
I completely understand. I want to touch on two things regarding that statement because, for one, I do agree with you. All right, should not have been a red card. I think there was some sympathy developed for the player that was kicked or stepped on because in slow motion it looks nasty. I mean, the guy gets his Achilles raked from top to bottom, like all the way down to the tendon, right? And he lands on his ankle just to make it all worse. But in his defense, he was off balance and he was just searching for a place for his foot to land. Now, my gripe is beginning to develop with the VAR integration in terms of like what prompts you as an official to go and look at the screen if not anybody from, because I know in the NFL it's like, oh, New York tells you to go and take a look at it or something, or a coach might take a timeout and ask you to look at something, throw a challenge flag even. But I've seen multiple times during the World Cup they would let something play on, there would be a whistle, and then they would go and look at a play that happened a minute ago and then start judging it there. Or, I mean, it would be a situation where, I guess what I'm trying to say is they're integrating it when they shouldn't and putting a microscope over things, and it's just getting in the way of the game. Whereas soccer has always been like a really free-flowing sport, like the heat of the moment kind of thing, right? Like that's why they have advantage.
Yeah.
And they, for that exact moment, the minute that you stop the play to put a microscope over this one moment and play it in slow motion and then bring out a card when you didn't even have a yellow card out, it's taken away from the game completely. So and you saw it with the Belgium and Senegal game, like they had let that play through. There was another attempt at a goal as well, but they went back and was like, you know what, nah, that's a penalty, and then that ended up deciding the game. So whereas you could have just kind of taken the hands-off approach, something that the game has done perfectly fine off of up until the last couple of years, you choose to get involved, and now you completely, ruin this team's chances of advancing.
Yeah, I think, when you discuss VAR, I think there are a couple of good things with it as far as like offsides penalties, like deciphering, yes, that player was offsides. Okay, that should have been a goal, but like you said, I feel like American football does reviews really well. Like immediately they stop play, they blow, right after that play happened. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know advantage is a thing, obviously, in soccer, two completely different sports, but, you know, like you said, in the Belgium-Senegal game, you know, there was another shot on goal, you know, it had been a minute or two, and then they go back, and it's like, well, actually, nah, I think that was a penalty. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like, and yes, to get the correct call, I guess, you know, it's could be a good thing, but to go back and determine an outcome like that, like I just, you know, I don't really agree with that, honestly. And I completely disagree with the referee's decision to do that. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way, and especially because that same referee was put under investigation by the Brazilian Serie A league for match fixing,
Mm.
for irregular red cards. So
Interesting.
the fact that even
Hmm.
is, yeah, the fact that that's even a thing, and now we see him, and I think besides the red card, you could see a clear bias last night in the way the game was called. I think that Bosnia was getting a lot more calls than the United States were,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, you saw when Tyler Adams got completely. He basically got football trucked in
Yeah.
the midfield in the beginning of that game. No card was shown to Bosnia,
Mm-hmm.
and it just blows my mind that like that red card was given. I don't know. I know we can discuss it all night, but
It's interesting because it's like, and this is from a neutral perspective. Like, would you rather see the right call or no call?
I think there's a way to go about it with getting the right call. Like I said, like I think if you stop the play immediately, you go get the right call, continue on, it comes off way cleaner, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Like instead of say the call's in the air, then you wait 2 or 3 minutes and the play continues, then you go back and change it. That's when you see, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh well, why didn't you just call it then? You know,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't oh you let the play go on, now you want to change it back? You
Yeah.
know, like I think if if you stop it right then, you go review it. I think that would come off across better, but the Balogun thing I thought was just a horrible decision, and it could be like a tournament deciding decision. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he is suspended for Belgium, you know, and he's been maybe our best player. I don't know. It's just
That makes sense,
yeah,
especially with the Belgium game. It's like I would have rather seen the game decided in 10 penalties than one.
yeah,
You know, because that game was tied.
yeah,
So let's just go to PKs
exactly. They could have
and
easily yeah,
because it wasn't whistled initially anyway. The follow up attack didn't score. Just let the game go to PKs and the ball don't lie. Like, let's just
yeah,
leave it then. They're like, no, let's take a look at it. I'm going to look at this replay for 6 minutes in slow motion, grant Belgium the penalty, and then they win the game off of that. It's like, yeah, was it the right call? Sure, there could have been an argument made for a penalty
because it
right
was
then and there.
50-50. Yeah,
Exactly, but should that have been the way that game was decided? You know,
yeah,
a 2-2 draw all the way into
yeah,
the end of extra time by that is decided by that? No, take them to PKs,
yeah.
man.
I agree. And as we kind of move on to our paving the way to victory segment for the remaining of this tournament for the United States fans, JSI Services is a proud partner of Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And be sure to visit their website at jsiservicesllc.com to learn about their asphalt/paving services, earth and dirt works, concrete and gutter paving, crack fill, seal coating, and stripping services. And thank you once again to JSI Services for their proud support of the Guns Blazin podcast. Well, we just talked about it with Balogun. Who's going to fill that hole? Whether it's Ricardo Pepi, Haji Wright, or they could go to a false nine and put Christian Pulisic up top. Who do you think, if Balogun, you know, they said that I guess they can't really appeal it, but they can appeal the process of how VAR decided the red card. I don't know how that's all going to work. Sounds like he's not going to be able to play. How would you go with filling the hole of Balogun, whether it is going to a false nine, putting Pulisic up top, or just plugging and playing a Ricardo Pepi or Haji Wright?
I put Christian Pulisic at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and just let our main guys do their thing, to be honest. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. let me get a drink, too.
No, you're good. I think Ricardo Pepi, he's a young player. In the few minutes we've seen him in this World Cup, I think at times he's looked maybe not as ready as he could be. I think really it's going to be a decision, honestly, between probably Haji Wright or going to that false nine. I'd probably prefer the false nine with Christian up top. You could plug in a Gio Reyna or Sebastian Berhalter. And honestly, you know, for as much hate as Berhalter gets, mostly because of his dad.
Yeah.
I think he's had a great tournament. Honestly,
Yeah.
When he's gotten minutes, he's played really great. Had that goal against Turkey and was one of the best players on the pitch for the United States that night. I think if you plug him into the midfield or Gio Reyna, I think that's probably your best bet there. It's going to be interesting to see what Poach does, though. I think, honestly, though, my second really paving the way to victory is continuing to dominate the midfield with Weston McKennie, Malik Tillman, and Tyler Adams. They have been phenomenal in the midfield. And Belgium, obviously, they have a very good midfield led by Kevin De Bruyne. I think, though, that Weston McKennie and Malik Tillman, obviously, his goal last time was amazing. I think if they dominate the midfield, if they control the possession, if they don't turn the ball over in their own half, I think that's where you see the United States still have a ton of success in the attacking front, Jordan.
I agree with you. Yeah. No notes on that one.
Yeah. Well, that kind of wraps up our World Cup talk. Should be very interesting to see the United States play on Monday versus Belgium. Our last segment here about the NBA, the free agency, all the trades that have happened. I have a list of just all of really like the biggest stuff that's gone down. It's pretty crazy. Starting off first was obviously the Giannis trade. He gets sent to Miami. We saw this the other day, Jaylen Brown going to the 76ers, Kawhi Leonard back to the Raptors. We saw Ja Morant traded to the Trailblazers, LaMelo Ball traded to Minnesota, LeBron leaving.
Give me my ISO. Give me my ISO. Give me my ISO. Hey, Brian, where we going, man?
Where we going, Brian?
Where we going, Brian? Look, I'm packed up. I'm ready. Just let me know. Let me know, and I'm gonna get my jersey. Okay, that's the only one that matters. All right. Notice how all of these groundbreaking trades have happened right when LeBron's announcing like he doesn't know where to go. Like we like to act like it's not that big of a deal, but the whole league gets shell shocked every time he announces that he's going somewhere else. So all of these are some crazy trades, and the league is gonna look insanely different by the time it kicks off next season. But seeing where LeBron ends up is going to be like the cherry on top, man.
Yeah. Hey, me and Jordan, we got our bags packed, Brian. Hey, it's wherever he at, I'm at. So, LeBron, hey, if you go back home to Cleveland, I'd love to be.
Let me see what Ohio looking like this time of year. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, personally,
Cleveland, bro.
Yeah, personally, as a huge LeBron fan, Will, I love you, bro, but seeing him in a Golden State Warriors jersey would just like rub me the wrong way a little bit. I don't know.
Grab you a LeBron jersey and grab you a Steph jersey. All right, y'all were just talking about the USA, how y'all were loving bringing Team USA.
That's so bad for basketball, bro. Why are we reuniting Team USA in Oakland or like in San Fran? That doesn't make sense.
Y'all don't want to see Brown win. That's what it is.
I want to see. I don't think that's accurate at all. Yeah. I don't want him to win with Steph beside him, bro. Like that is literally. We just saw that in France. I got everything that I needed out of that. We saw Steph, and look, even if I can go on Blacktop on 2K and put them on the same squad, and that'd be just enough.
I do it if you can see it in real life.
Because now that's the problem. We're blurring the lines of video game possibilities in real life. We were never supposed to see Steph and LeBron play on the same team, except for representing the United States.
Yep.
That's the only one else. Now hear me out though. He played for Minnesota.
I mean,
and Edwards, LaMelo Ball, LeBron. Jaden McDaniels, that's a competitive
tough.
team. I think that's the team that could meet up with the potential Philadelphia 76ers.
Man, the Sixers,
Because they look like, what did we say earlier? They look like an Avengers-level threat right now with Jaylen Brown.
You need Captain America, USA, Steph LeBron. That's all I'm hearing.
Whatever, bro. I hate that made sense. I hate that worked out. I hate that made sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That did make sense. That was good. That was good. No, it's it's going to be crazy. I think, all the moves that have happened, obviously LeBron is even a guy, he's going to be 42 years old this year. He's still such a big chess piece in this thing. Even in the playoffs, he was the Lakers' best player by far. They won a series. He's 41 years old, was the best player on the floor. They win a series. Obviously, they lose in round 2, but LeBron was carrying a Lakers team versus OKC.
Dude, the year is 2026.
Yeah,
and the best player in the free agency is 41 years old.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
that's
he's
my
the GOAT.
That's my GOAT. Yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Besides LeBron, which trade I guess he hasn't signed with anyone yet, but what other move do you think was, I guess, the most league changing between Giannis, Jaylen Brown, Kawhi, and LaMelo?
While y'all waiting and thinking,
I'd say Jaylen.
Is Jaylen Brown and Kawhi.
Yeah, it's them
Scotty
two.
Next to Kawhi is insane. But trading Jaylen Brown to the team that just beat y'all in a 7-game series.
For nothing.
For nothing.
For
Paul
nothing.
George.
And yet we've reached we've reached the time now where Paul George is now considered nothing in a trade. Especially in relation to what Jaylen Brown just did. He was up there for being the MVP.
He was carrying the team while they were waiting on Jason Tatum to come back, averaging almost 30, and y'all trade him away.
The Lakers traded more to get Walker Kessler than the Sixers did to get Jaylen Brown. That's.
What are we doing? What is?
I don't know what Brad Stevens is doing. Honestly,
I was about to say someone's got some crazy.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy blackmail on him or something. Because I started to look at these trades and I'm like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening?
To a team in your own conference too.
Exactly.
Not even like they sent him to the West.
So with that being said, I do gotta, because these are both heavy hitters in the East. Kawhi is no slouch, but because Jaylen Brown's success is still so fresh.
Yeah.
And he's definitely gone into this plug and play lineup of him, Maxey, Embiid. Y'all don't understand. If that team is healthy,
Edgecombe too,
Tyrese Maxey is there all year round, and Jaylen Brown doesn't get hurt that often.
So it's really just Embiid.
Eliminating Embiid.
Yeah.
That's still a crazy lineup, and then adding him in and making those little minor adjustments to
all they need him healthy for is the playoffs.
Honestly, dude. So I would say the Jaylen Brown trade was the most shifting. That's the one where you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Kawhi he still has my respect. Do not get me wrong. Kawhi Leonard and the history that he has in Toronto has this aura about it already. I'm not gonna sleep it on Kawhi, but if we're comparing the two, I think Jaylen Brown is the more pivotal one to keep an eye on.
I agree. Should be a crazy. Obviously, still got to find out where LeBron's going, and then obviously the rest of free agency. And I'm sure there'll probably be one or two more pretty big trades that we see go down in the NBA. But that'll kind of wrap things up here in the Campus Live studios today. And thank you so much, fans, for tuning in to every single episode. And make sure you follow, share, and subscribe wherever you are seeing our content at, either on Campus Live TTU or the Guns Blazin podcast, as well as thanking all of our sponsors for continuing to support us at Campus Live and the Guns Blazin podcast. And lastly, remember that Campus Live is your one-stop news source for all things Texas Tech and Lubbock. Wreck 'em.